Hi. Okay, so today what you're going to learn is how to make a delicious nut butter using your Prodeo Slow Juicer. One thing I've got to point out first is this isn't actually covered by Prodeo's manufacturer warranty. You're only allowed to put soaked nuts through your juicer, not raw. With that said, look, as you can see today, we are going to do it. It does handle it, but you're not covered by warranty, and you will avoid it. So, to get started, what we've got is we're going to make a really omega boosted nut butter. So we've got some Brazil nuts, some flax seeds, some almonds, and some cashews. These will come together and create a really creamy, delicious nut butter. So the first step is to take apart the juicer. Now, we're not going to use the wiper blade. You don't need it in this recipe. Something else to take note of is we're going to use the thin screen. Now, you've got two screens, just use the thin one. The coarse one won't quite pull out enough. And the last thing in preparation, your stopper, we don't want it in. The job of the stopper is to stop juice leaking and to stop the pulp from escaping. So we don't want that today, we're not juicing. So we'll put this back together. Just the screen, the auger, put the lid back on. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to mix these nuts all together. I've got 100 grams of each nut, so it's a completely even mix. We'll switch the machine on, and we'll start feeding them through very slowly. Something to make sure is that you do feed them through slowly, or else you can jam the machine, you can really damage it. Now, something you're going to notice is you're going to end up with a really dry sort of powder coming out this side. It's almost going to be a nut powder, so you can use, today we're going to mix it through the butter to make it nice and thick, but you could also use it for almond meal, those sort of things for your cooking recipes. We'll add some flax seeds as we go, we'll boost up the fat content. As you can start to see, some beautiful creamy nut butter come out. That delicious butter is really fluffy, it's really creamy, it's really light. And we're going to mix that with our nut flour in a sec to make a delicious, thick, whole food. As you can see, the flour is sticking together a little bit, but that's where all the fats are, that's where all the delicious goodness is. We're just going to feed this through nice and evenly. Mix the flax seeds up with everything else as it goes through. Something you're going to notice with this nut butter is unlike the ones you get in the store, you're not going to have any artificial flavours, any colours, or any other nasties. You're just going to have a really creamy, delicious nut butter. Almost finished feeding this through. As you can see, there's some really thick, creamy, delicious nut butter coming out there. I'll keep feeding this through nice and slow. Finish up our flax seeds. Now, if you're in Australia, flax seeds are also known as linseeds. Just so you're aware. Okay, so that is it. So to finish this nut butter recipe off, we're going to pull the machine apart. We're going to pull the centre out. One thing you might notice, it might get a bit stiff to pull out just because of the strain. And what we've got is this delicious, creamy, super fatty nut butter. Now, we're going to mix this with the powder we have over here in a separate bowl. And we'll mix until we've got the consistency we like. So obviously if you just want it super creamy, you won't add any of the dry nut flour essentially. But we're after a delicious whole food. So we'll scrape out this creamy butter, mix it all through. Now, if you want a really thick butter, things like Brazil nuts, which are really high in fat, work really well. With this recipe, because we've used almonds, it's going to be a lot thinner nut butter. Not as thick, not as oily, but still really tasty and really healthy. So if you're making a recipe like this and you haven't really got the fat out in the first pass that you're after, what we'll do is we'll put the machine back together, we'll run it through a few more times until we end up with a really thick, creamy butter. So we'll see you in a few minutes with a delicious final product. Okay, so what I've done is I've fed the nut mix through another 3-4 times, and what we've got now is this delicious thick nut butter. So pull the machine apart, we'll mix it together, and you'll see the final product in a minute. Okay, so we're all done. Basically what we needed to do for a nut butter where you use nuts like almonds with a low fat content is you've got to run it through 3, 4, 5 times. With this one we ran it through 5 times, and as you can see we end up with almost a 50% split between delicious creamy nut butter. As you can see, that's so rich, and the nut flour. This nut flour is great for gluten-free cooking and all that sort of stuff. We're actually going to put up a delicious recipe using that in cookies in a few days, so stay tuned. One last note on nut butter, guys. You've really got to remember that it is going to void your warranty if you make it. It is delicious, the machine can do it, but it will void your warranty. And the reason why the guys at Pregio have done that is because of the cleanup. The nuts jam underneath the auger, and that will take you about 5 or 10 minutes to clean, as well as the actual spin wheel will jam, and you risk damaging your screens. So with that said, the choice is yours. It's a delicious product. Hope you enjoyed this, and see you soon.